guys, welcome to SosinIAS Academy. This is Hima Hegde presenting before you the current and contemporary affairs in anthropology. Let's start with the demographic theories. Sociologists have long looked at population issues as central to understanding human interactions. Understanding population growth gives us some insight on how many schools, homes, hospitals, and even prisons we need to build, as well as other economic factors that impact societies. Below, we will look, or now further, we'll look into four theories that will inform sociological thought, that they are Malthusian, zero population growth, cornucopian, and demographic transition theories. So, first, we have the Malthusian theory. Thomas Malthus was an English clergyman who made direct prediction or dire predictions about Earth's ability to sustain its growth population. According to this theory, three factors would control human population that exceeded the Earth's carrying capacity, or how many people can live in a given area considering the amount of available resources. Malthus identified these factors as war, famine, and diseases. He termed them positive checks because they increase mortality rates, thus keeping the population in check. They are countered by preventive checks, which also control the population but by reducing the fertility rate. Preventive checks include birth control and celibacy. Thinking practically, Malthus saw that people could produce only so much food in a given year, yet the population was increasing at an exponential rate. Eventually, he thought people would run out of food and begin to starve. They would go to war over increasingly scarce resources and reduce the population to a manageable level, and then the cycle would begin anew. Now, speaking of the next theory, that is zero population growth, a neo Malthusian researcher named Paul Ehrlich brought Malthus's predictions into the 20th century. However, according to Ehrlich, it is the environment, not specifically the food supply, that will play a crucial role in the continued health of planet's population. Eldrick's idea suggests that the human population is moving rapidly towards complete environmental collapse as privileged people use up or pollute a number of environmental resources such as water and air. He advocated for a goal of zero population growth, in which the number of people entering a population through birth or immigration is equal to the number of people leaving it via death or emigration. Next, we have the cornucopian theory. Of course, some theories are less focused on the pessimistic hypothesis that the world's population will meet a detrimental challenge to sustaining itself. Now, this theory scoffs at the idea of humans wiping themselves out. It asserts that human indigeneity can resolve any environmental or social issues that develop. As an example, it points to the issue of food supply. If we need more food, the theory contends agricultural scientists will figure out how to grow it. They have already been doing it for centuries. After all, in his perspective, human ingenuity has been up to the task for thousands of years, and there is no reason for that pattern not to continue. Lastly, the demographic transition theory. Whether you believe that we are headed for environmental disaster and the end of human existence as we know it, or you think people will always adapt to changing circumstances, clearly the patterns are seen in population growth. Societies develop along a predictable continuum as they evolve from unindustrialized to post industrial. Demographic transition theory suggests that the future population growth will develop along a predictable four-stage model. In stage 1, birth, death, and infant mortality rates are high while life expectancy is short. In stage 2, Birth rates are higher, while infant mortality and death rates drop. Stage 3 occurs once a society is thoroughly industrialized. And in stage 4, we see the post industrialized era of a society. Recombinant DNA technology. Recombinant DNA technology and its use in medicine. A DNA molecule carrier that allows recombinant DNA fragments to replicate in host species. A prokaryote or eukaryotic specimen may be used to extract the DNA fragment, which may be a gene. Both the vector and the insert must be cut with restriction enzymes and purified after separation of the fragment of insert or insert. A procedure known as ligation is used to join the purified bits together. Ligase is the enzyme that catalyzes the ligation reaction. The process of isolating and expanding a single fragment of DNA into host organism in order to produce a large number of identical copies is known as molecular cloning. Molecular cloning is a powerful technique that allows the generation of complex combinations of DNA fragments for most disparate dosing conditions. If we were to talk about the use of RDT in medicine, RDT has made it possible to cure a variety of diseases by replacing defective or diseased genes in the human body with new genes. It has brought many groundbreaking improvements to medical field, introducing previously imaginable or the unimaginable ways of treating diseases and distributing drugs. We have insulin. Through using bacteria as a host cell, scientists were able to produce human insulin, which is now available on the market. Vaccines. Both DNA and proteins are used to make recombinant vaccines. The DNA version is less expensive to produce and is thermostable, so it does not require the use of a cold chain for transportation and storage. The production of DNA vaccines has been the subject of numerous studies. However, a few DNA vaccines have been effective in becoming human DNA vaccines. Next, we have the human growth hormones, HGH. Recombinant DNA technology has recently been used to produce the growth hormones. We then have the monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies were made possible thanks to the hybridoma technology. We then have the antibiotics. In 1928, Alexander Fleming used RDT to discover penicillin for the first time. And then, speaking of infectious diseases, RDT has allowed the development of many diagnostic tests for tuberculosis, cancer, measles, smallpox, hepatitis, and other viral COVID infections such as COVID 19. So, in conclusion, DNA cloning in microbial plasmids is a simple and flexible way to amplify DNA. For many microorganisms, sustainable plasmid vectors and efficient transformation systems are now available, allowing the introduction and establishment of recombinant plasmids produced by enzymatic reactions in vitro. The genetic plasticity of E. coli makes it a common cloning host organism. There are, however, a variety of plasmid cloning systems that use alternate microbial hosts. The construction of new recombinant plasmids is frequently a multi step method that necessitates a cloning scheme that is transparent, simple, and forward looking. The possible cloning pitfalls are often manifested as structural and maintenance plasmid instability, which involves a variety of strategic contrivances to avoid. The length of the plasmid DNA is measured in micrometers, and the width of the double standard DNA is 2 nanometer. As a consequence, DNA manipulation using plasmid vectors is a well developed branch of emerging nano and microtechnology. Social media and beauty standards. For years now, people have preached about beauty standards, how beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. There have been thousands of movements and songs about this very topic. Now, this same topic is following us to the digital age. When asked what really defines beauty, people give us a whole list of things or a simple sentence. When in actual fact, who really knows? No one should be classified as ugly. So, speaking of a few beauty standards of the past, we have the Italian Renaissance. During the Italian Renaissance, a high forehead, blonde hair, pale skin, and long neck were all the characteristics that were ideal for women to have. Women would go as far as plucking their hairline to achieve their high hairline. Clothing and hairstyles weren't only a way to express oneself but to showcase one's status. If a woman if a woman wore her hair down, she would be single. When a woman tied her hair up, she was taken. Women's roles in life and beauty were heavily surrounded by men and how to keep or attract them. Next, the Victorian era. In Victorian England, having a pale face was desired because it signified that you never worked in the sun. It was a symbol of extreme wealth and privilege. Women would go as far as to poison themselves using arsenic and ammonia in their beauty routine to achieve the desired look. Corsets were also a huge trend during this time period, and unlike modern day corsets, these would extend a few inches past a woman's waist. Wearing corsets was not an exclusive fashion trend during the Victorian England at that time. Countries such as France and Italy were also participating in this beauty trend. Then, the African beauty standards. In Africa, beauty standards for women varied depending on the country and tribe. Stretched earlobes, face markings, and lip plating are just a few beauty traditions that were common before the Western influences. Speaking of the modern day beauty standards, as a society, we have gotten better at recognizing the toxic beauty standards. Women are taking up space they were told for so long that they don't deserve to occupy. In the process, we are redefining what an ideal woman looks like. Now, makeup is used to one's desire and not out of necessity for acceptance. There isn't a self imposed expectation for women as much as there was. Social media can then hurt your body image by constantly exposing yourself to the ideal body type, which then leads to constant comparison of yourself to unrealistic standards. Additionally, Photoshop and filters are readily available to the users, playing into the unrealistic body image. Now, in today's world, the social media is one of the most important factors contributing to the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health of an individual. With the media constantly portraying ideal beauty and body image comparisons, the decision of men's and women's beauty choices are globally affected. Body image concerns are common in women and men globally, but social media has now increased these concerns through advertising, videos, and the use. However, there have been people who have taken up in redefining the standards and preaching on the concepts of acceptance.